The steps for getting healthy were significant. I mean, I needed movement, right, to get rid of some of those excessive excitatory neurotransmitters. I had to look back on the things that had me healthier. Um, I had to just really get rid of all the things that we typically thought about in the US about depression and anxiety. I ate differently. I began getting rid of dairy and gluten in my life. And I knew that the information was in there. I had a degree in scientific nutrition. So get back to the basics. What was it that I was doing when I could sleep? In 2002, I moved to Austin and began working for a compounding pharmacy. And it was really amazing at the insight that they had because compounding is the old school way of making medications, but there was also a big movement for looking at the foundational things that cause dysfunction. I learned so much about implementing what I already knew about putting the nutrients in and really getting to the basis of dysfunction. So we were doing so many things, reading so many books, but what we were missing is testing. We couldn't quantify what was going on. So we had a few tests that we would do in the pharmacy, and the owner was lovely and let me bring in different kind of testing and books, and we learned. But I went to a conference in 2002, and I ran into a biochemist who had done a huge study on neurotransmitters in urine. And he handed me a test kit, and he said, "You should test one of your patients." And I thought, I'm the craziest person I know. I've tested myself. But I got this neurotransmitter test back, and they were terrible. And we had been doing 24-hour studies to look at amino acids to balance folks' brain, but that didn't tell us what the brain chemicals were. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is so great. So I started treating myself and taking amino acids to balance my brain chemistry. And I didn't know that you could feel that way. I didn't know other people felt that good, that they slept and that they weren't terrified of falling out of their car or the roof caving in on the house. I didn't know fully what normalcy was like. I'm sure my brain had been imbalanced my whole life. I thought, I just might have it right. So when I went back to the pharmacy, I tested immediately and it came back. And I was so close. My serotonin's never really optimal, but I was so excited that there was hope. And then I realized that we had all these people that we'd been talking to for years in the pharmacy that would come in and they were failing medication therapy and they weren't getting better and they were so desperate for their children. And we just brought the testing in and we started and we got really good at it. It was so interesting. We got to where I was having to write the protocols for other clinicians. And there were so many people outside my office, I thought, wow, this is not going to scale. I've got to do something about this. But the funny thing about that time, I realized that I might be able to have a successful relationship. So I started dating and I met my husband. And of course, I tested his brain before I married him. That's definitely a must. But we started a brain balancing company, and that was an exciting time. We learned pretty rapidly that we needed this plug and play capability for clinicians was really important for them to learn everything that we had learned with so many people at a pharmacy group. With multiple pharmacies providing patients, we learned a lot quickly, and also with the study. But in our own practice, we figured out that there's all these other tests are necessary. And we had to make sure that the gut was healthy in order for the brain to be healthy. And we needed to look at hormones and vitamin D and the thyroid. There were so many factors that come into play for someone to be really healthy. You just don't want to fix the finger, you want to fix the whole body. So that was the genesis of Wellnicity. I asked my business partners, can we please do something to offer all this testing to the masses? And so it's been a really long journey and a very exciting one, but now we have test kits where we can really help folks get answers to things that they might not have had answers to before. Scaling the business, it was so important to have a robust technology platform, one where we could say, when we treat something this way with a person that weighs this amount and is on this medication and they have these symptoms, this is what we find works best. And we're a true nutritional model. We stay in our lane. I think it's important. I hope for other folks not to have to spend 25 to 30 years figuring it out.